you so much, Hajin. We are jumping in right on top of our red Terran player, spawning in the top left of Death Aura, playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. This is Cure.
And his opponent in the blue, fighting for the Africa Freaks. He is, of course, the one and only TY.
Ooh. Well, you know, I'm still feeling confident that TY is going to be the man of the hour for this series. But let's talk a little bit about Cure, who has just been playing out of his mind here in the second half of 2020, really showing up at tournaments, taking off some outstanding series against some high-name opponents for sure, and doing it with some style, keeping it interesting, keeping it standard. He's got it all right now.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing to note as well, the path that Cure took to get here, right? In his group D, he was playing not just Raynor, he also met Innovation, a player that we saw yesterday not quite being able to handle Maru, and Cure actually going down 3-1 yesterday versus Innovation as well. So I don't know exactly what to expect from him so far. It's already a little bit of aggression coming out here for TY with that Proxy Rex, so maybe that's going to influence it a bit more than you would like to, but we're gonna have to wait and see for that one, of course, how much impact that is going to have. But overall, yeah, it may just be that the TvT for Cure is just that impeccable that he just needs to tune up the TvT a little bit more so, and this is why I'm worried for him versus TY, right? That is because we all know TY's best matchup is TvT, so this seems like perhaps it may be his tournament to win. I'm
definitely going to agree with you on that one, which is why I would give TY the edge over his opponent in this particular matchup. So we'll have to see what comes out here. And of course, they've had the pleasure of being able to watch Clem and Maru duke it out and start to see good positioning here. But now TY is going to be one that opens up a little aggressive here with that proxy. So that's already going to make things really complicated for his opponent here in Cure, who now has to deal with a bunker at his natural.
Yeah, that seems a little bit rude. Maybe hoping that Cure will not come down that ramp as quickly, but now in just kind of forcing him to, right? There's still 2 more Reapers on the production. TY it's okay to kind of trade out here, but the Hellion is on the way. You would not like to trade out unfavorably, which is maybe going to happen right now with another Reaper going down. Okay, does manage to clean up the other Reaper also, but it's still a dangerous situation. That bunker not going to be finished up anytime soon. It should be cancelled. He will try to delay this command center for as long as possible. Already going for a 3rd command center behind this as well. Just trying to maintain the positioning here.
You're making this a hold here because he manages to pick off that bunker building SCV right before it finishes. So the staying power of TY is not going to be able to hang around at this point. So he's going to have to pull back. Cure will be able to finish off his command center in the natural. But look at TY already transitioning, getting his 3rd command center underway as well. Yeah, and that is an interesting maneuver, right? Could provide Cure with an opportunity here, as that siege tank will be done a lot earlier on. He's going to have a medevac there as well to ferry that siege tank across the field. TY, he may get himself a single siege tank here to start defending against this, but ultimately, will that be enough? Obviously, you have 2 bases, and one of the bases may just be still left open for abuse. All right, so where do we go from here at this point? Now Cure's going to push across the map. He has a significant army advantage here, 18-10, which numbers-wise isn't that gigantic, but in the terms of just sheer power, he would be able to get in on top of his opponent and draw a little bit of attention elsewhere and really be able to lay down some pressure on his production. And it looks like Cure's exactly going to do that. He's going to post up on the low ground here. We now see the barracks that is going to be under fire, and as well as scouting that 3rd base. So Cure might continue to turn up the pressure here.
That's exactly what he does already. You know, looking for some SCV kills here as well. A couple of SCVs idle there for a TY. Uncharacteristic mistake there, but not the worst of things, of course. As he does have that third CC here. It's looking okay. So picked off a couple of Q's SCVs earlier on. It seems like he will be able to force Cure backwards. Had a good spread on his Marines, tanking the siege tank as he repositioned his own siege tank. And you know what? Overall, this seems to be pretty darn great for TY now with that quick early third CC and putting himself in a nice position here. It was a weird one, right? Because he opened up so aggressively with the double barracks and then immediately just transitioning into that third CC. So going very quickly from the aggression into the very greedy play, and you know what, it's working out for him. Managed to keep his own base secure, and yeah, I mean, getting those upgrades now as well. In a fine position right now, TY is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Kind of felt like you had another idea there, which is why I was waiting patiently. But you know, I think TY should be able to make the transition here really, really well. I mean, he's getting that third base out really early now, floating it onto site, and he's also grabbing those upgrades. He's getting stim pack, he's getting that 1-1. The longer this game goes on, TY is going to continue jumping out in front of Cure, and it feels like Cure kind of recognizes that here. He is going to push across the map. His stim pack only now started, so this won't be available for this next engagement, but I don't feel like Cure's in a position where he can afford to wait right now. He really needs to get some of that damage done, and I feel like TY is going to have the scouting he needs to be able to get into position, so automatically those tanks going to rotate over to that third base. He's going to be sieged up and ready to go, and the Marines are already on the left-hand side, ready to pounce should Cure feel confident enough to siege up.
Yeah, of course, TY does have that stim pack right now, so any miss micro from the siege tank and instantly those Marines could get on top of him. TY does bring those SCVs across the field, though. Sees that this army for Cure is here and immediately just pulls the trigger and decides to go across the map. Cure not quite picking up on this fact. This is an all-right opportunity for him to perhaps get something done. His chances really rely upon those Ravens, right? That's where he has the advantage right now, the air dominance, and the fact that he is the one repositioning continuously there. But oh my dear lord, this drop is already getting so much work done. The third base goes down, and TY now, he will be very happy to just kind of forfeit the location. As long as he safeguards that third base, he should be okay. Where are his siege tanks? They were all interference matrix, but all unsieged at the same time. And now TY commits here with all those Marines and the SCVs, not losing too much.
Wow, how is Cure making the most of this here? He's taken out 13 workers of TY. Now, he did lose a base back on the opposite side of the map, which is a really, really unfortunate situation. But Cure does get a lot of damage. But look at that army count, 50 to 32. TY is just going to continue pushing back across the map and use that leverage to get himself further and further. Already saving his third base. It's already rotated over, and TY's economy is just going to continue skyrocketing. He's in a wonderful position with a great hold, even though it cost him some of his workers.
Yeah, the +1/+1 here for TY also really helping out a ton. It's a little bit late with the armory coming up, so it can't quite transition immediately into the +2/+2, but a similar story will occur for Cure, so that is going to help him a little bit here. TY is to maintain that upgrade advantage. And TY now, the person being aggressive, actually forcing the cancel on that command center. That is absolutely massive. Further delaying that economy for Cure, and as we're seeing a third CC, oh my god, he's gonna get combat shields here. Yeah, that's GG, just like that. TY, what a clean showing of him. Oh my dear lord.
Man, making it look easy, Kozan. Making it look easy. So,
Yeah,
I
absolutely. I mean, that was just like he made every correct play, right? Just going for that third CC, realizing you should be able to still get out that siege tank in time, realizing you should still have enough defenses, seeing then Cure still sticking around on the other side of the map, being like, all right, let me just grab all my Marines and go across. I mean, that is, you need to have some real cojones to do a move like that, my man. That is a brave decision to make, and it paid off in absolute magnitudes. That was A very, very great decision there from TY. Being able to also anticipate the interference matrix, already having those siege tanks on siege, and I mean, nothing quite happens anymore after that, right? He managed to pull away those siege tanks, and he was like, all right, well, let me just wait, bide my time. And yeah, now that this is running out, I'm going to punish you for investing so much energy when you're not ready to immediately pounce on my forces.
Yeah. Cozy, I am going to break the fourth wall and say, check Discord really fast for me as we talk about getting set up for this game number 2. I have a feeling that TY is going to continue getting further and further into this matchup just because of what we already discussed. This is one of his best positions to play from. He's in a really comfortable lead, and I think he will continue to dominate that. But I want to see what Cure is going to pull out. It feels like Cure is going to need to either drag TY out into a long form game, which Cure has shown us that he has got tons of skill to be able to take that out the distance, or he's going to have to find something deep like Clem was trying to do against Mario and just jump on top of his opponent and get as crazy as he can. Quick update, folks. Just like clockwork, man, yesterday it was right around this time that my internet was not wanting to cooperate, and we're experiencing a little bit of that today again as well. So hopefully, gonna hang on here. Thanks for being patient. It is kind of a one-man army here at my house. And unfortunately, my ISP needs to send as many packets as they possibly can. So thanks everyone for hanging on. Appreciate the patience on that. We are getting set and ready to go for game number 2 as well. So Kozan, what do you anticipate we're going to see here?
Game number 2, it will be played on Lightshade, a very small map overall. I mean, those moves from TY, they may get punished a little bit quicker going for a third CC like that, right? The army of Cure will be arriving a lot earlier on, but at the same time, I mean, the punishment from TY going across the field with those Marines also going to be arriving a lot earlier. So things are going to get a lot more dicey. They may start to crumble down a lot quicker in this one. Anyway,
all right,
coming up,
Kozan, you're gonna have to anchor this down for me, buddy. I got some problems to solve, so go ahead and take it.
In the bottom right side, we got ourselves a red Terran player. He is Cure from the Dragon Phoenix Gamers. In the top left side, there's the blue Terran from the Freakin' Freaks. He is, of course, TY. All right, so we're gonna try to keep our eye out for when these guys specifically want to take their gas. So far, TY taking his gas a little bit earlier on, trying to get that sorted, and not going for the gas so far. That usually indicates that he does want to go for the double gas later on to try and get his factory out that way. The single gas before the barracks sometimes indicates that the player wants to get that command center a little bit earlier and not spend too much time without that gas to still facilitate a command center a little bit earlier also. Now, here we go. Should be seeing a second gas popping up relatively soon for Cure, and instead we're seeing it from TY. So TY actually also completely committed to try and make this as safe as possible. Perhaps he's looking out for the possibility that he may get a little bit rushed himself as well, as he was trying to do the same thing the previous time. And well, I mean, it's still a very, very interesting series overall. Of course, TY and Cure, will they be able to go up against Maru as well? Is of course the next question. TY, as we saw the previous series, may be able to make those quick, snappy decisions a little bit better, get himself into a better position early on, and just take the efficient trades. Cure, on the other hand, I mean, I bet he's just wishing, like, oh man, if only Rainer and Cyril weren't already my first opponents. If only they were ready to face me in the semifinals and the finals, so maybe I would have been able to get things rolling. And yeah, that is then the real question, of course. It's also an interesting thing where we have the Cure already being able to beat Rainer and Cyril, and then Now, TY, Maru, and, well, I suppose Clem as well, right? Didn't have to bother being prepared for either Rainer or Cyril either anymore. Two threats that perhaps would have done a little bit better against these other players rather than Kyo's. Kyo's TvZ is just the main thing that he is competing with. All right, so these players, what are they up to exactly? We're seeing a Widowmine drop perhaps coming in here for TY. Could just be for the defensive setup as well. Those Widowmines can be a little bit pesky in case you want to try to get aggressive yourself. And then suddenly, you know what, there's the Widowmine, right? Remembering the Juggernaut, the map, of course, where Clem tried to commit for a little bit of aggression himself, and ultimately Helene just kind of revealed the mine, and suddenly everything went south for Clem as soon as he lost it. Anyway, here we go. The barracks trying to get himself further away from that tech lab here. And what else are they doing? Again, Ravens here, of course, a very, very useful unit overall in this matchup as well. And we're seeing TY going for it. Kyo will start to prep for it as well. Prefers to get himself a Viking out first and foremost. Smart decision, because he doesn't have those Cyclones in the production either at the same time, right? So that is a good, solid choice to kind of have at least something against the air potential dominance that could arise otherwise, right? Even if it may not be a Banshee. We don't see those all too often in TvT because it is so common to get yourself a Raven, maybe a Viking or a Cyclone. You get one of those, right? Either the Viking or the Cyclone. You kind of have to, in a way. It's also going to help out later on with the overall air dominance, right? If you're already set up with the Ravens and the Vikings, that's going to be able to keep you, well, make you prepared for the later on places where this can go. You can have yourself more Vikings, more Ravens, and that's always a good thing. It's always a good thing. All right. Neither of these players really doing much aggression. That is definitely something worth noting. I guess they're both just very much respecting their opponents, and I think that is going to be changing here. TY has kind of not gone at all for any type of a third base here, right? And we do see the one for Cure already quite far in the production tab. These Hellions actually getting good connections into the Marines. The siege tanks there not sieged up at all. TY is bringing some SCVs with this as well. Wants to try and get repairs going if need be. Those Liberators under a little bit of pressure here, and it looks like, yeah, Kyo already nipping this in the bud before TY even manages to set up shop here across the field. It is incredibly smart for Kyo to have himself situated further forward, as he is, you know what, still a lot lower on the siege tank count. If he lets TY set up shop here in front of his natural, suddenly things are going to be a lot more dicey. He's going to be not taking the trades as efficiently as he would like to. And TY still kind of finds this area, right? So still will be able to get himself quite a bit of value with this air dominance, as well as the siege tank numbers that he needs to, okay, look out to not get shot by siege tanks himself, of course. A couple of Vikings here controlling the sky, and then Starport's under a lot of pressure. Kyo will decide to just move across the field, trying to set some sort of a counter up on the other side. TY immediately taking advantage of this, though. Moves into the natural base and starts to deny the mining here. Kyo realizing, you know what, I may not be able to do too much across the field, so decides to back up again, double backing into the siege tanks, trying to clean them up, and it looks like he did manage to do just that. But did that buy TY so much time here for his own economy to start building up? I don't think so, right? Because we still don't have that third base for TY. Yes, he is a little bit ahead in the SCV numbers overall, but it is still not that significant that you would give him just a straight up lead at the moment. Actually, you know what? Overall, you may even go so far as to give Cure a small advantage here, as the command center is still so far removed from finishing up here for TY. So it kind of the ball on Cure's side of the court. He's going to have to decide where he wants to take this. Is he going to try to get aggressive? Is he going to try to take more bases and maybe take this further along into the macro game? That's kind of what he has to consider now. You got to be careful not to be too greedy. He's already quite nice ahead, but will getting further ahead work out when you're up against somebody like TY?
Oh, okay.
You okay, Rushy?
I've just climbed out of the hole that I dug in the ground to go mine for more internet. And I think I found a little bit, so we're going to cross our fingers, cross our toes. I need your help in chat as well to just send nice thoughts to my ISP here. This is a very big Viking drop that goes into the main base of Cure. These Vikings are just going to shred through all of these SCVs. In total, 12 are going to go down, and everything is going to just fall apart here. Cure is going to hold, and he's done enough. So he's going to be able to move on forward here. I'm going to pretend I knew exactly that's what was going to happen there. GG. Hi. So beautiful. Yep. Well, it seems as if maybe we've passed the bumpiest part. So should be okay here. And of course, you know what I loved the most, Kozan? I loved how Twitch chat was like very calm and collected, and it wasn't like lots of like capitalized lag or, oh, this stream is terrible, it's ruining the game, StarCraft is ruined forever. No, didn't see any of that, actually. It's kind of crazy.
Not a single time. Yeah, people are just really polite overall. I think it's the StarCraft 2 community, you know? The score right now is 1-1, guys, and we're going into Pillars of Gold straight ahead, moving full force forwards here. Pillars of Gold, a map with a lot of high grounds, some destructible rocks and such, quite abusable perhaps for siege tanks, but we're gonna have to wait and see.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Of course, you are all wonderful people. I make fun of you only because you send the capital letters at me, so it's just a nice balance. But spawning in the top right of Pillars of Gold, up, not up, he's tied for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for Cure.
His opponent in the bottom left side, it's the blue Terran fighting for the Afrika Freaks. He is, of course, TY.
Alright.
I like this comment. StarCraft 2 is dead because of Rushy.
Yeah, I quote it, clip it, share it on the internet, post it on Reddit. I'm ready. I've got big shoulders, chat. You have to remember, I teach teenagers for a living. There isn't much you can say to me that's going to really hurt my feelings. And that's not necessarily a challenge, but I mean, have fun with it if you want. So
True.
I'm going to defer to you, my friend, because there was a lot of chaos and pandemonium. Could you bring us up to speed with that game 2? Give us like the quick and dirty.
Game number 2, it was an interesting one. TY just kind of trying to be a little bit more aggressive. Ultimately, Cure was well prepared with a lot of Hellions, some Vikings, some Ravens. Didn't have that many siege tanks, so he was just continuously pushing himself onto further on the map, trying to meet the army of TY and force him. It was very similar as to how you see TvT in a sense with Blink Stalkers, but in this case we saw Cure kind of utilizing the Hellions, so a very interesting way of making use of those types of units, the mobility and such, and poking away at the marine numbers before those siege tanks were able to siege up. And TY not quite being able to make it work. He did manage to eventually get across the field, but just didn't have enough anymore. Cure getting himself nice and ahead with the third base that he had, with a solid unit count, with a good amount of upgrades, as well as TY was kind of forfeiting those potential advantages in favor for just that earlier attack, right?
Yeah, wonderful.
Did you get all of that?
I did. I absorbed it all. I'm gonna let it soak in like a sponge, and eventually it's all gonna squeeze out when I need it most here.
It was a pretty cool match, I have to admit. I very much liked Cure's response. It was a very big brain move.
Well, you know, that's kind of what Cure's gonna need in this matchup, right? Is those big brain plays against a player like TY, who's He's got that experience. He's got the desire to continue being really, really creative in his TvTs, and he's got the experience to lean on as well. But Cure, sitting with a ton of his experience himself, I mean, it's easy. Well, maybe not easy for others to forget, but it's easy to forget that Cure was a Junior Green Wings veteran for a very long amount of time.
It's been a while though, hasn't it? Kind of let him go.
Yeah,
I don't know if he left. I think probably he wouldn't leave the Junior Green Wings, right? He wouldn't do that.
I feel like I read up on that at one point. I will admit that I am not as informed on that, but of course now playing for the Dragon Phoenix Gaming, getting to be able to be a part of the Chinese team leagues as well, which is kind of a cool added benefit as well. But here's a good added benefit. 5 workers killed off of the back of those Reapers. That's a pretty good start here for Cure, but TY's already getting himself into a better position as he continues to get more and more of his own workers and armies sorted out.
Yeah, and that was a pretty nice hit squad, right? With those Reapers getting those workers. Putting TY in a nice early advantageous position here. Just a couple of SCVs ahead. Can make or break situations later on. And it comes down to, once again, the control and such. TY, I think he may have put himself in a very, very nice position here, especially with this drop. If it does not get spotted out by that Viking, it looks like it will, though. Even then, it can just boost on by and still get a ton of damage. Let's see how much he will be able to get done. Again, more mining will be denied. That Widow Mine behind here as well will get himself quite a bit of value. Also denying further mining here. TY trying his best to ensure that Widow Mine doesn't go up until the last moment, where it absolutely has to. Look at this, even retarget microing everything. Oh, the SCVs are coming in. The SCVs are coming in. No, oh, what are you doing? Okay, only gets 4 of them. Luckily, those SCVs have a little bit more HP than the probes or the drones.
I'm gonna have to sync that up because you knew that information before we did. Interesting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're living in the future. No, it's not your fault. It's just probably residual from the last game. I just need to refresh the stream. So we'll try and play with that a little bit. We'll keep that all in mind. As Cure does get his third base moving on site. TY's building his. Yeah, it is in the production. He's just got it in the natural right now, and. It's continued aggression here from TY. I love the targeting. I love how he is continuing to keep pedal to the metal here because he's got another medevac flying on in, Kozan.
Yeah, he will try to get more damage done here, and that's a great way to keep this going. Of course, it is just 2 Cyclones, so it's definitely a brave hit squad, but will he be able to get a lot done? Okay, well, trades against another Cyclone as well, so... Oh, is he going to get out? Oh, he just barely doesn't get out.
Yeah, he is going...
No.
He's going to get the medevac out at least. That's reasonable. He gets to hold on to that gas investment at least, but TY already moving across the map once again. And I think this is exactly what we're going to see here in this game number 3 between these two, is just that continued push forward with TY as he is trying to secure himself a little bit better positioning and keeping Cure from being able to really settle in. I don't feel like Cure has had any point in this game other than maybe like the first 2 minutes where he was able to get into his own rhythm, figure out what he wants to go into for a build order, and put himself in a spot where he can feel comfortable to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, TY is he is a great player that will be able to kind of get himself stabilized in these types of scenarios, right? Where it seems kind of equal. Again, more harassment in that main base. I mean, honestly, the amount of times that these SCVs had to be pulled away, it feels like they're more often away from the mineral fields rather than on top of the mineral fields at this time. Losing 7 of them as well. Cure is taking a bit of a beating by the harassment of TY. That is just continuing on absolutely relentlessly. Now we have the Upgrades also going for TY. It's not in the same way that he's approaching this as game number 2 at all. He's been on top of his upgrades. He's been on top of his expanding as well. Was trying to move out there a little bit, but decides against it instead, moving back around once more. Ultimately, just playing it a little bit more safe, trying to rely more so on the late game and the harassments, and slowly but surely whittling his opponent down instead of just one straight up attack coming across the fields and getting into a good position and shutting down Cure. Kind of like we saw Clem do a couple of times there versus Maru, of course.
So it seems as if we're going to continue to jump into the push here out of TY that we are constantly seeing from him here in this game number 3. Getting that main army across the map. We see those Marines starting to posture on the left-hand side. And what I love about Cure is Cure has so much good vision out on the map. He's got these Marines scattered around. He's not going to let TY try and siege up on him in an advantageous position while Cure's army is halfway across the other side of the map. And because of that, Cure's going to be able to post up on the right-hand side of his third. He gets everything settled into place and is not going to be able to let TY get his bully position in there. But now we're going to see Ravens dropping into the main mineral line. We have a lot of those auto turrets going down, causing a little bit of chaos, but it's going to come at the cost of maybe one of them for sure.
They do manage to just barely get out of there. Ultimately, still, again, getting a lot of damage. No pool being utilized there from Cure in the natural base. Perhaps not expecting more auto turrets to come down. The Vikings hold on the tail of those Ravens, but just, again, barely managing to escape. TY here getting aggressive when he doesn't have that much in the air overall, especially with those Ravens just coming back from their aggression. Of course, now not quite having enough to use interference matrices, not enough to have an anti-armor missile or anything of the sorts, right? So he's just fully banking on his ground forces here. The Marines need to keep those Vikings at bay. And TY will, it looks like, sacrifice 2 of those siege tanks in order to get out safely with the rest of his forces. So we do have a little bit of aggression, I believe, from Cure as well on the bottom. Ah, no, that is my fault. That is... Or my bad. That is not my fault. That would have been Cure's fault if that was the case. But no, it is just it's just a blue dot right there. Apparently, I'm a little bit colorblind sometimes.
Well, that happens to the best of us. So now we've got 2-2 on the way for Cure, but TY is just leapfrogging ahead of his opponent right now in that army count, 109 to 77, and continuing to climb. He also has that worker advantage, and this is the great aggression that he was able to make the most of here at the very beginning of the game, starting to compound for our blue Terran player as he is going to start swinging around that top-hand side, looking for that 4th base that does not yet exist. Cure able to hold off the army on the right-hand side, at least for now. Those Liberators going to be able to siege up and put themselves in position to push most of that off. TY going to try and drop into that 4th base, but sees those turrets, doesn't want to overextend, and very close, does not lose that medevac, but only 2 hit points left. He's going to have to drop off the Marines in there so that way he doesn't lose everything here. And this just continues to be more of a bad situation here for Cure. He's not able to get out to his 4th base, Kozan.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very frustrating thing. The potential here for Cure still lies within those upgrades, right? He has the 2-2 on the way. That may facilitate somewhat of a very reasonable trade for him if he does get on top of things. Combat Shield is about to finish up as well for him. That was quite a bit delayed. Ultimately, now does finish up as these Marines once again try to combat one another. The +2/+2 not ready yet for Cure though, but it looks like he just barely has enough. At the same time, this is allowing TY to once again get that prime real estate on the right side where he is anticipating perhaps that 4th base to go. But ultimately, Cure flies it over to the left side here, similar as the TY, but TY's like, all right, well, if you do get yourself a 4th base, just to be sure, I'm going to get myself a 5th, and I'm going to get myself a 6th base. You know what? I'm just going to sit here as rich as a sultan, no problem whatsoever. And you know what? Ultimately, I'm going to be able to trade inefficiently versus you. You're just going to have to deal with it, because I have this advantage right now, and This is also allowing him to be the player that's being aggressive, allowing him to continuously rotate, try to find holes in the defense here, and make things incredibly tense for Cure all around.
Well, and this is just fundamentally a much different game of StarCraft compared to most of the other matchups as well. This isn't the most like guns a-blazing matchup here, but it's very fun to see how these players tactically line themselves up here. And now we have a nice strong engagement between these two. TY trying to force the issue on the left-hand side, but Cure with a very, very good engagement. Good air superiority here is going to clean up all of the Vikings, and now suddenly those medevacs are going to be under fire. Cure's tank count remains rather high, and TY not able to shove in here just yet.
Yep, it's interesting to see that neither of these players are going for the Raven composition as much as we saw from Maru as well, right? I mean, if this was Maru playing, we would have already been expecting quite a few of those Ravens on the way. Both players seemingly still preferring the more standard and the more common to see Viking composition with maybe a couple of Liberators mixed in. I don't think we're going to go as ham as we saw Clem going for the Liberators here from these guys. But ultimately, this is what they're trying to do, and both of them continuing down this path, which could mean trouble for TY, as the air dominance now clearly in Cure's favor. It's going to be incredibly difficult to make well, turn that around again, right? That is a very difficult thing to do.
Well, now it's going to be Cure's turn for the aggression as he gets across the map, going to get aggressive onto that 5th base. He really needs to slow down TY, and he does. He actually gets that planetary picked off, so that is pretty decent damage. TY trying to get the revenge on the opposite side of the map, but good tank siege up will pick that off, and a great pick off on that medevac with the most Marines inside of it, so TY not able to get everything back at home, and Cure's just going to wrap around and pick off the rest of this army outside of his 3rd base location. That was a great pickoff for Cure. Look at the loss tab for TY right now. He lost a good amount of his army, and now he has to kind of reset here as he tries to get himself into that 3-3 upgrade path where Cure is already going to be set and ready to go for that. Now Corvid Reactor also on the way. Cure in a good position to push across and try to get more of that damage done.
It looks like TY has managed to gain dominance in the sky, though. Those Viking numbers for him looking very proper right now. 12 of them floating around those siege tanks. So that is a fight that he is willing to take at the moment. But will he be able to take that fight quickly enough with Cure moving into this base right here? Actually, TY forcing him backwards a little bit with the stim on the backside, only picking off a single siege tank. But Cure now re-evaluating the situation, deciding not to go for it as much as he is, of course, here, now being heavily pressured.
Yeah, and Cure's going to continue trying to push up the gut here as he is going to run into that Liberator siege line. This is kind of a dicey situation. Cure doesn't have a whole lot of place to run if he gets pinned, and right now TY trying to grab him from all sides, but fortunately he does have an out on the top side. But look how stimmed that army is, Kozan. Cure cannot afford to stick around, especially with a low amount of medevacs.
Yeah, actually both players now going back into medevac reduction, being like, wait a moment, I think all of them got sniped here, and that is the case, it seems. This Liberator here getting quite a bit of value as well, finding a couple of SCVs, finding a good amount of Marines also. Oh, the 6th base of TY does get picked off, but he will be looking to that 5th base of Cure at the same time, and that is in a lot of trouble now as well. No siege tanks here to save this base for the time being, but Cure will try to set up somewhat of a surround here. It looks like has a good amount of Ravens to throw down the interference matrix. Let's wait and see if he will be able to get on top of this, or if the Viking numbers for TY will reign supreme in this situation. And I mean, this is pretty cool to see TY also going for the Liberator Force rather than the Ravens. Will this be working out for him here overall? I mean, you know, Cure is a player that likes to go for the Ravens. Also, we've seen this, I believe it was in the Cure versus Innovation matches before he went up against TY himself. He suddenly started throwing out just mass amounts of Ravens and such. I hope I'm not mistaken with that one. But anyway, I'm pretty certain that we did see Cure kind of making this very popular in the higher tier of gaming. Okay, the Liberators here do get interfered with as well. The Siege Tanks still protect them though, so I mean overall Cure will have to forfeit this location as he is losing a lot of bases at home.
Well, and TY has had a base in the lower right-hand corner that has just been untouched this entire game since the moment it went up. And Cure just doesn't have any way to heal his overstimmed army at this point. At one point, he had an army advantage, but it was an army that was limping along at 25% health. And unfortunately, that's just going to create a lot of problems for Cure. And his army still has not been fully recovered yet. So every stim seems to be more and more deadly. And Cure just is slipping away here. TY is going to start pushing on forward. He's maxed out. This base is going to go down. The repair is not going to be enough, I don't think. Those tanks will finally clean that off. 10 workers are going to go down as a result of that. And Cure is trying to find a way to reposition himself and salvage this game. But after losing 3 bases, Kozan, I'm not sure he can.
I mean, the one chance he still has is I suppose the Ravens here get a good amount of interference matrices on those siege tanks. Then the Marines may be able to just stim their way into this army. But ultimately, TY has been so incredibly on top of things. He's been able to continuously set up shop with his own Liberators, with his siege tanks, before Cure really got into a good position. Those scans has been endless for TY, and he's been able to stay on top of the overall maneuvering from Cure, and it's been paying off for him, right? We're seeing how this Liberator kind of style kind of should work out perhaps against the Ravens, and GG is called. Cure taps out, still with 90 army supply, but you know what? He realized that is going to be a tall order to try and make a comeback happen right there.
Ooh. Let's go to this one instead. Hajing is a beautiful gray square. We'll get back to her soon, though. All right. So we're getting set up here for game number 4. I'm going to try and resync this audio since we were having a little bit of issue with that. But I'm confident, chat. Feeling really good right now. Seems like things are kind of stabilizing here for me. So whoever paid off my ISP and said, "Hey man, we got some StarCraft to watch. Like, you got to be cool." Thank you. You are the real hero, and I'm sure that person will make themselves known in the chat. But thank you so much for all your patience, folks. I'm excited that this is going to get bigger and better, and we are going to jump onto Oxide for our game number 4. TY up 2-1. Cure needs to kind of reclaim his footing once again, and I think he can do it, but he's going to have to make it look good, and he is spawning in the bottom left of Oxide, our red Terran for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. This is Cure. There we go. Nailed it.
And it's over right side of blue Terran. Fighting for the Afrika Freaks, he is nobody but TY.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, honestly, Cure is making some great maneuvers overall, but it just seems like TY is reading into them, and he's been able to dissect them, he's been able to move around it, and already kind of pre-set up his positioning before Cure even kind of moves over there. The scans have been very consistent out of TY, and he's been able to stay on top of this overall. Very cool to see him kind of make this work. Now, Cure looks like he will decide to get a bit aggressive here. It's only a single barracks so far. Will he make another one at home, or is he just going to go for the single barracks here? It looks like it will just be the single barracks. The double gas behind it.
I would just say that this is just going to be quick Reapers to get across the map to shut down TY's expansion early. This is kind of what Clem did against Mario, not necessarily proxy style, but trying to jump on top of the tempo of his opponent, being able to slow him down, not let his build order take over, because that is where TY is going to thrive, right? He's got the master plans cooked up in his head. How can Cure knock him off of his rhythm? And right now, Cure is going to dive on in and say, okay, looks like you are not going to go for that quick command center. You are getting your factory down. Both players going to take that route as well. Now, how can Cure punish that? And I think it's going to be a couple of Reapers waiting patiently for TY to move out across the map, and then they can go in and rain a little bit of havoc.
Just moving them backwards, actually. That's an interesting one as well. It's like, let me proxy my barracks so my Reapers have something to do while I sit back at home. So he's moving them all the way back. All right, interesting. Maybe he spotted something. Maybe he was anticipating TY perhaps to go for the early command center, right? The very early on the command center before the factory. And that is not the case. So maybe this is why he's decided against it. This is why he's moving backwards. Or he is waiting indeed for the triple Reaper here. That could be the case as well. The triple Reaper managed to deal with those SCVs very, very nicely, but needs to be careful. Okay, also going for the Cyclone upgrade right now. So things can get a bit dicey. It looks like you're, in fact, you know what, doesn't just want to get aggressive perhaps with those Reapers, but wants to get aggressive with the Cyclones also.
Yeah, I think he was hoping that TY was going to go into that early command center, and now this is kind of an awkward situation here for him, as he is going to lose out on this Reaper battle, and now he's kind of stuck out across the map. He doesn't have a way to quickly reinforce with more Reapers, so instead a Cyclone's going to have to do it. Will be effective in shutting that down, and I think he actually prevented the worker kills, so all things considered, that was an okay spot for Cure. TY now has a little bit of a scout, though, on his opponent, being able to see what tech path he wants to go into. But look at that mag field accelerator coming out. We're going to see some good aggression coming out with these Cyclones. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little bit dicey with that Widowmine there as well. Still on the top side of things, the siege tank is almost about to be ready also. And as soon as you have that siege tank out, that is just 2 shots and your Cyclone goes down. It's going to be very difficult. Oh, the Widowmine retargets onto the Cyclone as well, and it manages to kill that one. Nip it right in the butt's end. That is just a horrendous start for the aggression right now for Cure. That's the last thing you want to see happen. And now the siege tank already in position also. TY is going for Banshees to follow this up with, perhaps realizing, you know, if you're being this aggressive, maybe you're not going to have a Raven back at home to facilitate the scans. It's interesting, though, to go Banshee against this heavy of the Cyclone. Maybe he isn't expecting the upgrade for the Cyclone there as well.
That is entirely possible, but I think they're both going to surprise each other with their tech choices here. So getting that Banshee cloak will be a nice addition for TY. I think you're absolutely right. I think he's banking on the fact that, okay, you're playing super aggressive right now. I see that you are trying to invest into those factory units. I'm going to hope that you don't have the means of putting together a Raven that quickly. But in Cure's case, he is going to try. It's coming at the cost of a lot of his army production, though, because he is starting to slip overall supply-wise. 68 to 51, his army count's a little bit lower, and TY has been able to get a little more worker count out as well. So Cure is going to protect, but he's got to find a way to deal damage to TY, otherwise TY is just going to continue to expand on this.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing Cure kind of has going for him, right, is that third base being a little bit earlier. It looks like he will be able to shut down the Raven, the Banshee assault relatively quickly with the Raven. And so I do believe he still has the Cyclone back at home as well, so that shouldn't be able to do too much yet. And hopefully that will be enough to help him out with the defense, not lose much of any SCVs. He's already lost 2, though. It stopped immediately at that point, so it looks like only 3, but I mean, with TY already slightly ahead here, it's not horrendous that you only get 3 kills there.
I'm more worried about the army that's pushing across the map right now, Kozan, as TY has a sizable army lead, and he's got the tank count behind it as well. So this third base is going to be very exposed. It's going to have to be lifted if TY swings around to the left, but to Cure's credit, he is trying to deny TY free passage to that left-hand side, and TY is just going to go backwards. Look at the count that you have. Okay, the SCVs are coming out, but that must be, yeah, he's making the transition into that third base. Okay, TY just waiting for the tank count. That makes a little bit more sense here, but that's bought Cure a little bit of time here to get situated.
Yeah, as this is very true indeed, and he's kind of slowly catching up a little bit with the worker count here as well, right? With that third base. So, doesn't want to lose the Raven, though. Will lose the Raven. That is a bit unfortunate. Gets still one of the Vikings before it gets out, but ultimately makes it look a little bit more fine. Gets more damage, right? A bit with the Banshee, but does get picked off once more thanks to the upgraded Cyclone. So that upgrade still coming into play here, still being able to facilitate some extra defense. So Cyclones also can still help out against the Viking numbers that are just higher in count here for TY. Look at that, just one lock on end. A bit of an overextension, and immediately that Viking goes down. Being able to pick away at that Air Force is a great way to kind of equal out the score here.
Yeah, the one thing that Cure does have going for him is he's in some really good siege positions. As long as he can keep that up while TY tries to rotate to the left, he should be in an okay spot, especially with that higher tank count. And that seems to be what's happening, at least for right now. But TY able to get in range of that orbital command. He's going to force the repair off onto that orbital, so now that's going to be delayed mining for Cure. But now Cure doesn't have a way to respond to this. He doesn't have any air units right now. The Marines are not going to be able to get into a position where they can actually get some aggression done. This is looking not so great for Cure. He's going to have to lift this eventually if he doesn't want to lose it.
Yeah, he's starting the repair right now, and TY is absolutely fine with this, of course. Would like to see a little bit of the Vikings still staying within range there so the siege tanks can continue the barrage. But here we go. Oh, dear Lord, even dropping the Vikings in front of the siege tanks so they can't run away from the Marines nor the Liberators. My dear Lord, TY is such a smart player overall, using that body blocking right there. And at the same time, at home, he is losing a lot of workers here, though. But ultimately, being able to shut down that third base, being able to shut down so many tanks, GG is called right there. TY taking another victory on his plate, putting himself onto match points. What a guy. What a guy.
Gotta start remembering. I gotta get my brain recalibrated here for my hotkeys. So, all right. So now we see TY on match point here, as he is getting ready to mentally start preparing for Maru in the grand finals. Cure's just kind of looking a little, I hate to say that he's looking a little lost, but definitely not playing with the same kind of gusto that we've seen him in a previous series in this tournament. Now, we have seen a lot of his TvZ, so maybe Cure's just feeling really confident in his TvZ right now, but I just feel like TY kind of has his number, and he just keeps on dialing it all night long.
Yeah, this seems to be the case, right? And it was a thing to be wary of, because Cure, I mean, overall, we saw him already struggle versus Innovation. And Innovation, I know his TvT is very good. It's spot on. It's one of the best, because he is one of the best Terran overall in the world already. But then you have TY, just another caliber above Innovation. And that is making things just incredibly difficult here for Cure. And he's with his back up against the wall. I mean, there's not a lot of chances here that he can take either. He's gonna have to kind of bank it on whatever he tries at the moment, whether it be more aggression, whether it be just trying to go for the macro game. It's a tough call to make.
Yeah, well, it's going to be on Romanticide, a map where getting into that third base should be rather accomplishable for both players. Wouldn't be surprised to see that early third CC coming out again. Maybe Cure will try to dial up another proxy on the hopes that TY will take advantage of the economic possibilities that this map will provide. But he's going to have to get creative one way or the other, as he is on his final tournament life. You don't want to leave anything behind now, Kozan.
Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Here we go. On his last leg. On his last chance right now. He's in the red. Dragon Phoenix Gamer. He is. Yeah.
And spawning in the top left. Looking to advance on to face Maru in the grand finals for the Afrika Freaks. This is TY. All right, no movement out on the map. Not going to try to take a chance here against TY. I think he felt a little burnt by the fact that he was unable to make that happen in the proxy department. So looks like he's just going to keep everything back at home. But now the question becomes, we got some speculation time here, Kozan. He managed to take one game off of TY. How's he going to grab the second one? What direction do you think he should consider?
It's a very tough call to make. Honestly, he's tried the aggression. He's tried the macro game as well. It just seems like TY, as long as he stays on the defense, as long as TY doesn't try to get too aggressive early on himself and forfeits these things as a third base, as the engineering base and such, he seems to be very, very comfortable. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It is a very tough call to make overall, and it's looking a little bit dire here for Cure overall, as TY just seems to have his number, right? As you said, it just seems like whichever way Cure tries to turn to, he just kind of gets shut down very quickly. Now, in this specific situation, we do have TY going for that quick command center before the second gas, before a factory, and trying to get a little bit greedy here. Cure may be able to get himself a bit of a situation where he punishes this. So in this situation, he needs to get aggressive, right? He needs to try to equal this out overall.
Oh, he's
will he be able to? That's the question. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be able to snag the SCV that's building the natural command center. But now High Ground will be able to provide TY a little bit of protection. And he could possibly get the second SCV. That would be really huge if he does. Yeah, he's going to go for it. That's a great grab. I mean, a couple of SCVs for that one Reaper. I mean, that's a pretty good trade, all things considered.
Yeah, he did bring his own SCV across the map as well, right? So overall, he does delay that command center, which is nice, and he doesn't have to delay tech as much. But I still think he needs to try and make use of this early attack overall. He has more Hellions, he's going to have to starport quicker, and there's where his chances lie. He needs to utilize that tech very efficiently, and it's going to be quite painful if he takes a lot of SCV losses here back at home as well. TY gets a bit blocked with his Reaper. Getting 3 so far, but also getting a reasonable scout, I suppose. Doesn't see any add-on on that factory just quite yet.
So it is a medevac coming out for Cure, so Cure's going to continue to be the one that's aggressive, and I think that's the right call. And he needs to try and own the pace of this game rather than let TY maintain that control. And it should be, looks like 3 or 4 Hellions here that are going to come out with this medevac. So if he can get some good positioning and get that medevac across the map rather unscouted, he should be in an okay spot to get some good economic damage done. But right now it appears to be Banshee Cloak on the way. There will be a Raven out for TY, so TY is not going to be in a bad position to deal with this. It's all going to be where are those units posted, because right now it looks like he's got a unit on patrol in the top right. I think this is going to be a tough call for Cure.
Yeah, I mean, going for the Banshee, it is just such a gamble here, isn't it? I mean, so far we've seen TY continuously make the Raven. He's pretty much continuously been having the units that he needs against this type of stuff, which a lot of Terrans do, right? But maybe Cure's going to show us some stuff where suddenly, you know what, if you still manage to wiggle your way into the right locations, you're still going to be able to get that damage done. The 4 Hellions not quite getting the good connections either. 4 Hellions should be able to one-shot the SCVs, but ultimately not quite being able to align their shots appropriately, and kind of shows the great micro here from TY, being able to split up those SCVs so incredibly quickly and efficiently.
Well, and I love how, I mean, we talk about that efficiency. Cure getting out with all of his Hellions, and now he's just going to drop in once again, trying to pick off the SCV building that third base, but not going to be the case. But here comes the second punch, and right now that Raven is caught a little bit out of position. So a couple more workers are going to go down. This should free up Cure to try and drop into the main once again, but it doesn't look like that medevac is moving just yet. Seems like it's going to be just limited damage, at least for right now. But trying to get the most out of that Banshee, I'd love to know. 6 kills, and it's going to be able to fly back home for a quick repair. Nice harassment here by Cure.
Yeah, Cure's Banshee micro is really fantastic. Like, he does this a lot in the TvT matchup as well, right? That is one of the main things that he manages to take games with. It's just suddenly 2 Banshees. Sure, you have 2 Queens everywhere, you have the Spore Crawlers, but he still finds himself a great position. And here, once again, sure, you got yourself Vikings, sure, you got yourself Marines, the Ravens. All you need, normally, but still being able to pick away at those forces, still being able to snipe so many of those Marines. A couple of SCVs also go down. Was it entirely worth it, though? Did it put him in a good spot for the rest of this game? I'm not completely convinced, Rushy, unfortunately. He did take a favorable trade, but ultimately that 3rd base for TY on location here, already in orbital. He's still making an orbital. I don't know if I'm liking his place in this match so far, but it's definitely still playable. The game of comebacks TvT it's called, so let's wait and see anxiously.
This is a great harassment on the mineral line once again. The worker pull is pretty strong. They're not lining up very effectively. Actually, TY doing a really nice job of holding that back. Cure should have gotten a lot more for the drop, putting everything right in the center of that mineral line, but only getting 2 for the trouble. And now TY is going to try and move across the map. Cure should be in an okay spot to deflect this, but TY on the backside of this already getting his 3rd base on site. He's going to start populating that with more and more SCVs. But look at the production tab. A couple of Liberators on the way, and that 1-1. Both players finishing up Stim Pack. We should be seeing a little bit of continued aggression going forward.
Now let's see the Vikings with Cure trying to target down those Vikings first and foremost. Now shutting down the Ravens as they've already utilized those interference matrices. Was it too little, too late? So many SCVs go down here for Cure. But ultimately, actually, yeah, seems like it was enough. TY does tap out here. And that was a rather quick one. Not gonna lie, but he did lose most of his army there. And GG. Very well done. Wasn't expecting that all that quick, but hey, we're excited for him. For Cure, we're getting more games.
Yeah, very, very good play by Cure there. And that was what we kind of speculated might be what he needs to stay in that game, is to, again, control that tempo, not allow TY to play on his own speed. And that worked out really, really well. So it is always nice to be pleasantly surprised by how the players can get themselves back into the game. And I think we definitely saw a little bit more of that in game number 5. So now game number 6 going to be coming up here. We're going to see continued pushes in that direction. We saw the same thing with Clem versus Maru. Clem has to try and dominate the early game so he can get on top of the mistakes of his opponent and make him pay. And we'll have to see if he can force out a game number 7 here. But he's spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Submarine. It's the right map to do it. Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Red Terran. This is Cure.
The top left side, the blue Terran fighting for the Afrika Freaks. He is TY. So yeah, I'm wondering kind of as well, it's a game that I probably missed a couple of things with TY as to why he exactly decided to tap out of that game. Maybe he already stopped SCV production there for a while, because even after Cure lost quite a few, 13 of them, the worker count was still equal. And TY did take all those siege tanks across the field, of course, losing all the Raven as well. I mean, that's a difficult position overall. I'm not completely sure what the upgrades were looking like, but I don't know, it still felt a little bit playable at that time. Maybe I missed some stuff, right? TY, unlikely that he will make a decision like that lightly. So would assume that I did.
Yeah, I think it's okay to make those assumptions because we see what these players are capable of, and it's just a gut read, right? Where we see, okay, we know that our players are playing with this kind of information, especially as we're getting later on into a best of 7 series, and now all of a sudden our players are kind of being forced into certain positions. Oh, well, I'm only going to be able to win if I play this specific style. That should give the player who has the advantage a little bit of added information. Okay, if this is what it's going to take, I can really try and defend against that. So TY, once again, I mean, in this case, not going for that early command center, doesn't want to risk accidentally getting thrown off kilter by the quick Reaper moving across the map, especially on a small map like Submarine. And he's just doing what he can to try and keep himself on the top side of this matchup against a player who is not somebody that you should sleep on. If you let Cure try to play his own game and you don't respect what he's going to bring to the table, he's going to punish you for it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in particularly game number 2 kind of showcased that, where Cure was able to utilize just, you know what, Hellions versus Siege Tanks and the Marines. Normally, when the Siege Tanks are on the field, especially once you have like above the 2, right? You have like 3 Siege Tanks moving across. It should be way past time for those Hellions to go to bed, but ultimately still being able to utilize them in a very efficient way, slowing down TY in very significant amounts, and taking out a lot of the Marine numbers overall as well. And ultimately, you know what, taking victory because of this. Now, overall, later on, whenever we did get into a late game situation, it did seem like TY was a little bit better at overall planning as to where to go, which flanks to take, how to position his army, to keeping tabs on where Cure was going as well. So it looks like just overall Cure, perhaps where he can find favor is with these earlier on units in a way, right? Get the Hellion harassment, the Banshee kind of stuff. That is where his highest potential lies here, I would say.
Well, we're seeing that potential start to be coming to fruition as the Banshee is starting to come out for TY. No upgrade just yet, so we don't see Banshee Cloak on the way, but a Raven already on the move, and I love this from Cure and TY. We expected to see that from Clem and Maru, where Clem was kind of reluctant about making those Ravens from the get-go, and I felt like in the later games he finally felt a little more comfortable bumping those out and utilizing them to their full effect. But every single game here between TY and Cure, it feels like Ravens have been a nice staple as a part of both players' armies, which is playing out to be a much more confident defensive style for both of these players, as both players have tried to go into that Cloak Banshee to try and score some quick, easy SCV kills. Not going to be as easy, though, when both players are mentally preparing for it.
Yeah, and it looks like they definitely are, and I saw a Banshee on the production tab for a moment. I'm not quite sure. Okay, yeah, there it is, actually. It's being utilized defensively for now. That's an interesting one as well. Could help out against, I suppose, any type of harassment, right? If Cure does decide to go once again for Hellion harassment. But, okay, no, decides to be aggressive with this. Brings along a mule because, you know what? They never get to go across the fields. They never get that chance, so might as well bring one along as well. He's the intern SCV right now. Okay, no, did get sent back home again. Let's see what TY will be able to get done here. If he manages to snipe out those Cyclones, that would be a great maneuver, because then the Vikings and the Banshee will have a little bit more open reach, maybe able to then snipe out a Siege Tank very quickly, and especially those, the Siege Tank on the high grounds, right? Banshee may be able to just kind of take that one down by rotating towards the top side and avoiding the Cyclone this way. Okay, interference matrix. The Siege Tank was unsieged in time. Cure moving backwards slowly, but still under a lot of pressure here with the higher Siege Tank count from TY.
Yeah, TY's making the most of this positioning here. The tanks of Cure are back a little ways here. Now, one of those tanks is going to move a little bit too far forward. It is going to get picked off. But it's continued aggression here. TY is trying to throw a lot at this. He's bringing a lot more SCVs across the map to bring in for those repairs, maybe build a couple of those bunkers. Finally, that starport is going to get picked off. So that's going to be huge damage here. No more air units on the menu for Cure, which means it's going to be more and more difficult to try and get on top of these tanks. But it feels like Cure is getting ready to pull everything he's got into this army force of TY, who is on the verge of closing this out.
Yeah, this is a very committed attack, though. If Kia does manage to stabilize here, he should be in good shape. The army supply is not too far apart, but of course TY in a position where he forces Kia to move into him. Here we go, here's the engagement. The interference matrix looking pretty sharp. A lot of SCVs do go down. TY, will he be able to still maintain his position? It doesn't look like he will. And he's lost 6 SCVs over here as well, of course, himself. He now doesn't have a third base on the way. He doesn't have a third base ready, as I believe Cure does in his main base right now. He doesn't have much to fall back onto in his home base.
Ooh, this is looking kind of rough for TY. I don't know that TY has a big transition back behind this. Fortunately for him, he was able to kill off so many of those workers of Cure, but it feels as if Cure is going to be an okay spot once his stim pack finishes up. He's going to be able to get on top of these mechanical units of TY that much quicker, and only one tank to help spot for everything. That one tank can be easily mitigated by just a bit of splitting of those Marines. Second tank showing up will help out. It's just a matter of how TY is going to utilize what he's got, and he does not want to overstay. 5 tanks to 2. And Cure is just going to try and shove on forward here. Now that stim pack is done, he's going to try and get on top of those tanks, and one of those tanks is going to get dangerously low. Now the Vikings get landed, adding into the mix here. A nice mixture of sieged and unsieged tanks, trying to get some damage done, and Cure holds it off. And we are going to a game number 7, the rubber match between these two Terran Titans. GG.
All right, TY once again trying to go for the aggression right here, and once again not quite being able to find his advantage there. Honestly, I think he has to go for the macro game still, and don't get too bothered by the aggression from Cure. Kind of stay vigilant, of course, just to try to be defensive ultimately, but I mean, maybe he overestimated the amount of SCVs he lost during all of those Hellion attacks, because honestly, it didn't feel that bad. It felt manageable. He wasn't losing those as many as I thought that he should. Those Hellions not quite being able to get that AoE damage dealt. And well, we'll have to wait and see what this final game has in store for us. It's the map that neither of these players really picked.
Oh, and it's a long map. If there was a map that could go the distance here and give us a big, long TvT between these two, it is this one. I'm going to let you pronounce it as you introduce our first player here.
All right, it will be on Juggernautha. Juggernautha. It's a weird one. Anyway, red Terran in the top right side. Dragon Phoenix Gamers here.
Spawning in the bottom left, trying to close this one out as hard as he can. A freak of freaks, blue Terran, TY.
So it's supposed to sound like Juggernaut. So Juggernautha.
Okay.
English.
Yeah, I remember we talked about this during the qualifiers, where it's based off of a god of the Hindi religion, right?
Yeah. And then it's apparently where the word juggernaut also came from. So
okay.
Yeah. Juggernauta. Yeah, Juggernauta.
Yeah, the word juggernaut comes from this word that we're having a difficult time pronouncing. But it would be, of course, we can't get maps that are just like, oh, welcome to Playground LE. It's like, what? Why can't we get the good stuff? Like make it easy. I love the diversity. Don't get me wrong. I think it's really cool that we're incorporating a ton of different historical, like religious elements of the world. But man, the absolute like difficulty of pronouncing some of these words, because I don't want to sound uninformed, Kozan.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Joganatha? See, that's kind of what I thought, but I'm getting mixed signals here. Twitch chat would never lie to me, right? I mean, I read it on the internet. It must be true.
Well, I mean, if Twitch chat says 10 different things, you know, some of them, they might not be lying, but could still be wrong. Very often I'm one of them as well, but... Anyway, what's going on in this game so far? It looks like TY once again trying to get that command center a little bit up earlier than Cure, and this is the position that I like to see him try and take. Just get away with the macro game, try and defending as well as possibly versus Cure's aggression. And I think that is kind of where these guys need to take this game. Oh my dear lord, the Reaper wasn't in position. Okay, slows down the supply depot, already interfering with the build here for TY a little bit. It's an interesting move going up the ramp instead of trying to delay that command center. We're trying to scout for the command center, trying to get a bit of value here with the Reaper being on the low ground, of course. Maybe anticipating that, you know, that's a funky maneuver right there.
Yeah, you have to imagine that the anticipation is coming. But here's what TY was not expecting was 2 Reapers to get on up in here. And 2 beats 1. I did my math homework. I checked it. But look at all of these workers going down. That one Reaper being microed so well, trying to stay alive and getting more of that damage done. So 4 workers, maybe 5. He goes in for the 5th kill. That's a nice amount of damage here for Cure as he's trying to get his opponent off-centered, Kozan. Again, these are the keys to success here for Cure.
That was a rough one. Honestly, that was quite a bit of damage he did take. Now, his command center is still earlier, of course, so you may be able to kind of get back up into a closer place overall. But he cannot afford to take much more damage than that. He needs to stay on his toes. He cannot afford to take damage from, I don't know, let's say a Banshee. Or I don't know, maybe some Cyclones coming across the fields here as they are being produced right now by Cure. Because, well, he still had both the starport and the factory earlier. Okay, so a Widowmine and a Raven. Now, we saw the Widowmine can quite handedly take on a Cyclone. But then we still need to have somewhat of a response against the Banshee. And I'm not sure if we will. TY needs to get a read on what is coming his way.
Ooh, I love this position here for Cure, though. Cure has kind of been the economic, I hate to use the word slacker because it makes it sound super negative, but like he's never really held economic advantages in the early games in this series against TY. He's always been behind 1, 2, 4, 5 workers behind his opponent, but now he's the one that holds that slight economic advantage, and I feel like this is a good position for him to play from as he has been able to make it work from the downside of the economic advantage, and now he has an opportunity to continue putting pressure onto TY and maintain, if not grow, his economic advantage here. And he's going to get in with a Banshee. That Banshee, I can't remember if it has cloak or not. It really doesn't matter since there is a Raven. But 5 more workers going to go down, and this is, again, continued good damage by Cure, not allowing TY to really jump right into his military production. He's going to have to continue building more of those SCVs if TY doesn't want to continue to fall behind.
We're again not seeing a third base here from TY either. I think he's going to try to go across the map again pretty soon. So losing 11 workers like that, I mean, it may be an okay choice to do, honestly. Did not manage really to catch up with that worker count this way. The scout from Cure is coming in here as well. He's going to realize what is going on. He's would like to see that that Raven going back. He may actually build it on the 3rd location. Okay, so he will go for his 3rd base.
Yeah, I think he almost has to at this point because he doesn't have quite enough to guarantee that he's going to shove across the map and win. But that Reaper scout was very, very important. I think TY might have moved out sooner had that Reaper not spotted all of those Marines hiding in the back of the main. But instead, Kjor's able to get that information. He can now continue cranking out more and more of those units because he knows that this has got to move across the map at some point in the near future. But 3 Ravens have proven to be very, very effective force in these TvTs that we've seen today, Kozan. More damage getting done, though, from Kjor as he drives into the mineral line of both the main and the natural. So it's going to be a double pull of units. 5 workers go down, as well as the delayed mining, and this is going to kind of offset TY's push here a little bit, and that tank positioning is so good.
Yeah, there's just no way you're going to be able to pressure that main base from the third. It looks like this map is kind of made with that in mind almost, so you don't get to just quite as easily siege up closer to that main base as you would in a lot of other maps. So definitely something unique to this one, and will take out a lot of the potential from a push like this that TY is doing right now, because he can only pretty much come from, well, one area or a different, very tiny area, right? Where already Curious on both locations sieged up and ready to receive any type of aggression. TY is still gonna try to make something happen here. As long as he can keep that third base denied, he sees that the third base is floating over to the left side, so quick adjustments, rotating towards that left side flank, and this is what he needs to do right now. He needs to contain his third base, and he needs to stop mining there for as long as possible.
Oh, but Kjor is already on top of it. He's moving those tanks forward, trying to position himself. These tanks are choked up on the ramp, which is okay for trying to limit that movement, but if for some reason Kjor is able to get on top of that push, he could shut all of that ramp down with just a couple of tanks. And here's where the power of those Ravens are going to start creating problems for Kjor. They're going to drive into that main mineral line. It's going to force a pull off that it will allow TY the opportunity to back up. I think that's the right call, because if we look at the army supplies, the army counts are drastically in favor of Kjor. As he's trying to get more and more damage done, TY's just trying to claw back into this with that Raven harassment.
Yeah, he's doing a good job, though. He kept that third base from mining for a really long time now. Didn't make up for everything. I'm not quite so sure. Does manage to get as much value from this Raven as possible, utilizing all the energy that it still had remaining. And there you see clearly not as much quite yet as Q has managed to do to him. But ultimately, you know what? It's a start, right? It's the starting foundation to mount a comeback from. Will he be able to do so? It's still a tough ask to make, I guess, right? With those upgrades in particular, as Mapu is pointing out now as well, that is just a difficult place to still get something to work from.
Well, this is where things are going to start to get dicey for TY. Kjor's now going to be able to move out onto the map. He has the superior army supply. He has what he needs for air superiority. The only thing that Kjor is really lacking on is that Raven count, but I feel like Kjor is going to be, or he has the potential, I should say. I should try and read his mind, but he has the potential to be very, very aggressive with these Vikings, provided he can get a good tank siege up. And now the positioning is going to start beginning here. The tanks are going to start to get covered here. A nice interference matrix going down on that forward tank is going to allow Kjor to continue getting his tank count forward, and now it is just a pure numbers game. TY is shoved far and away back. We're going to lose a lot of those supply depots, which kills a lot of the cap here for TY. Now we're starting to see that third base getting evacuated, and this worker count slowly starting to dwindle. 9 workers getting killed off so far, and Kjor's done it! Hajin,
wow,
predicting the future, and TY goes out. We're gonna have a Kjor Maru finals. Well played. I did not expect that.
Oof.